Hi everybody, this is Betsy Furler with Communication Circles, and I wanted to tell you about what is AAC. I'm doing a course for parents using augmentative communication with their children on teachable.com. So this is kind of a little introduction to that course. So AAC is alternative and augmentative communication. It's really any way that we speak that isn't verbal speech or words. So sign language is augmentative communication or alternative communication. Things like picture symbols, visual schedules, any of those things are considered AAC. What I usually am talking about when I talk about AAC is more of the mid-tech to high-tech AAC. And that would include any type of electric device, so a computer or an iPad or a tablet or a phone, or something like the Coco is AAC that requires electricity or battery of some type, and it also helps a child or adult communicate. I am Betsy Furler. Like I said, I'm a speech pathologist with 25 years of experience and an expert in augmentative and alternative communication. I have been involved with augmentative and alternative communication for my entire career, and I even back in the early 90s got to take a class on augmentative communication in grad school. I'm also a technology expert. I love using iPads, iPhones, Android tablets, and Android phones to help people do all sorts of things, organizational skills, helping children who have difficulty reading to learn to read, educational uses, recreational uses, just anything you can think of. I love the use of technology for that. And I have autism training in the floor time or DIR method. So everyone deserves a voice, and I believe that everyone should have access to augmentative communication. Whether that person is a child who's never been able to speak or an adult who's lost their speech due to a disease like ALS or a stroke or a traumatic brain injury or some other acquired disability, everyone deserves a voice. And in this day and age, we have so many options for augmentative communication, such as the smartphones that we all carry around with us all the time, inexpensive tablets, as well as more sophisticated devices. So my main goal is to try to make augmentative communication mainstream. I should say it is to make augmentative communication mainstream, so if someone has a child who's nonverbal, they know that that's available to them. Or if someone's in the hospital and has a trach and can't speak, even temporarily, they know it's available. There are several types of augmentative communication, kind of as I expressed earlier. There's low-tech AAC. That would be writing, giving someone a piece of paper and a pencil and having them write, picture exchange systems, and anything that does not require electricity. Then there are the mid-tech AAC systems. These usually require electricity and have some speech or a voice, but they are not as sophisticated as the high-tech AAC systems. So mid-tech AAC systems would be something that may have a choice of 24 buttons that you could program with a voice and a picture. And then high-tech AAC are things like using tablets and computers and things like that to communicate. We usually consider a high-tech device to have a synthesized voice. And so the Coco kind of falls between the mid-tech and high-tech AAC because it does require electricity, and it does have a dynamic screen, which means it changes when you press the screen, but the voice has to be recorded. But in some ways that's very good because that way it can be customized to the child's language and culture, no matter what that language and culture is. Other high-tech devices also include eye gaze systems. And eye gaze is miraculous for people who cannot move their bodies. They can use their eyes to choose what they're going to say and literally talk using their eyes, as well as access computer and other environmental controls in their house. They can even use eye gaze devices to do things like change channel on the TV or answer the phone. Dedicated devices would be a device that is used only for communication and it does not have any other use. So many times people consider something like an Android tablet or an iPad to not be a dedicated device because it does have other purposes. However, any of those devices can be used as a dedicated device as long as everything else has been taken off or the person is locked into the one app that is for communication. Tablets are also available, and you can use the tablets either as a dedicated device, like I said earlier, or the tablet for multiple purposes, including the communication. There are a variety of different augmentative communication interfaces. There are scene-based, which would be a photo or a scene in the house, maybe a picture of a kitchen, and you can use that to communicate. There are text-based devices, which has would have either just words or would have just keyboards, where you have to have literacy skills, but it's a great device to use for some people who do have literacy skills and who are more comfortable using words and letters versus photos and symbols. And there are symbol-based systems like the Coco. So symbol-based systems can have photos, symbols, drawn pictures, anything that represents an item is considered a symbol-based system. So that's just a little intro into the world of augmentative communication. I went over the different types of devices, low-tech, mid-tech, high-tech, and we talked about dedicated devices. That would be anything that can be used just for communication. I did not mention that could be like a PRC device or a Tobii Dynavox device. It can also be a tablet or an iPad if it is locked into only communication mode. And we also have tablets for communication and phones, which are so easily accessible now. The interfaces include scene-based interfaces where you would have like a photo of a scene or a picture of a kitchen or the bedroom or the bathroom where you would push different parts to communicate, and text-based interfaces. So that's just a little summary. Again, everyone deserves a voice. And please join in my class on Teachable. It's at teachable.com. The name of the class is Getting Going with AAC. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon. Please stay in touch. This is my information. I do have a Facebook group called the AAC Augmentative Communication Parents Group. You can also follow me on Twitter at Betsy Furler. It's BetsyFurler. And my Facebook page is Communication Circles. Thanks.